All right, this is the Van der Graaf generator right here. This is the school's Van der Graaf generator. As we take it apart, this is what the inside of it looks like. I was replacing the belt years ago. This is the belt right here, and you can see parts of the belt right there. And put the screws someplace where I could find them easily, and then lost them, of course. It's now easier for demonstration purposes. And then on the top part, so this is what the Van der Graaf generator looks from on the top side. We do have these little metal ends right here, which need to be close to the belt in order for there to be a transfer of electrons from one way or the other. If it's too close, it's going to touch the belt and start shredding the belt, and we've had that happen a couple of times. But otherwise, they need to be close enough. If they're farther away, then the electrons have to jump a farther gap, which is a lot harder to do. So to make this more efficient, you want to get it as close as possible without actually touching. I also want to point out that the roller here over the years has worn down. It is not as cylindrical as it used to be, but you know, that's just the nature of it. And so what's going to happen is that the belt is going to be positively charged, and then it's going to move up here positively charged. Because it's positively charged, it's going to draw electrons from this, which will cause electrons from the overall ball. So we can put that back on top. So it's going to draw electrons from this metal surface right here. The electrons are going to move down to the bottom where they will jump off at the bottom. So let's take a look at the bottom again. And again, we have the little metal ends right here that we want as close to this as possible without actually touching. And the electrons are going to jump off of there and go elsewhere. And so because this cycle is going to continue, we are going to ultimately just create a lot of positive charge up here. And once there's a lot of positive charge, then it's going to start looking for electrons from other places. And we will see that happen in a moment. All right, I want to point out some safety aspects of it. We do have a dial here so we can adjust the strength of it. And we have the on-off switch. Now, there is a grounding wire that is missing, unfortunately. And because the grounding wire is missing, when I was first working on this, I would turn it on, the thing would soup up, and basically it would pull some electrons from the metal base right here, and this, or either that or the electrons were not grounded properly and would go onto the base. So when I went to go flip the switch off, I ended up shocking myself. It hurt, of course. So we are going to attach this to an extension cord, which I can more easily plug and unplug. So backing up to try to get a full view of it. Let's see if we can actually set up to do some demonstrations. I've done this before. I now have my extension cord right here with an on-off switch right there. I had the Van der Graaf generator turned on, so all I have to do is turn this switch on. I have done this before where this has gotten charged as well, and it hurts. Presumably I will edit out any profanity that I shout when I hurt myself, but we will find out. So as I turn the switch on, notice that the belt is now starting to move. And notice that on our electroscope that the leaves are starting to spread. And I turn it off and the leaves start to slowly move together again. The Van der Graaf generator is slightly charged still. And so the question is, how do we discharge it? And so one way is to actually touch it. And occasionally I've had students in the past who have volunteered to do that. And other ways of doing it is just to let the humidity in the air bring electrons to it to neutralize it. And you get some indication. When those leaves are back down, then it should be perfectly safe. But let's find out how much it's going to hurt when I just discharge it myself. All right, there's a small little snap there from the spark, but nothing significant. It did not hurt. All right, so I've put a clean pie pan sitting on top of it. I turned up the voltage just a little bit. So before I actually turn it on, the question is, what's going to happen to the pie pan? Pause to let you think about that. All right, so presumably you've paused and thought about the answer. So when I turn this on, it does fly up. Pause it to try to figure out why it happened. And welcome back from the pause. When the orb here becomes positively charged, it's looking for electrons, and it starts to draw electrons from the pie pan that was sitting on top. The electrons in the pie pan move down, making the pie pan positively charged. Those electrons are then drained down to here, making the pie pan positive and the bulb both positive, and so therefore they repelled. In a nice, ideal, perfect world, the pie pan would then float above it, but that would require some really high precision work that I'm just not capable of. So a question you might ask is, how can you get close to it and be very careful when you do? I'm sure most of you have seen the demonstrations where somebody has their hand on it. They put their hand on it and then their hair stands up. It's a great demonstration when that works. I've done that successfully in class and horribly in class, so sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. What's going to happen here is I am actually going to show sparks by using this, what I'm going to call the wand, and I'm just going to get close to it. You should see the sparks. My first year at Forsyth Tech, I hadn't found the wand yet, and so what we used was this instead, which, if you'll notice, is significantly smaller. And so I was being very hesitant with the electricity. I was doing a demonstration in class and had it down on like 50% or something like that, and was holding this like that, getting close to it, and one of the students goes, "Crank it up, Dr. Fox, crank it up!" I thought, no, I don't really want to. I was way nervous about that, and he said, "No, crank it up." I said, "No, that's okay." And he said the fateful words of, "I'll hold that thing, Dr. Fox." So I said, "Okay." So he goes up there, and we crank it up, and he's holding it like this, and he's probably this close to it to give you some sort of perspective, probably about 70 centimeters away, when a spark jumps from the Van de Graaff generator to his fingers that were exposed on the side. There was the immediate bit of pain because you have a whole lot of receptors getting stimulated at that moment, but there was no permanent damage. It was funny because no one was hurt. But let's see if we can actually get a spark to show here. So I'm going to actually I'm going to draw the shades. I'm going to turn the light out just so we get a better view. Not completely dark, so I might redo this again tonight. But let's turn this thing on. You definitely can hear the sparks. Oh, there you go. I can see the sparks through the camera. This wand is positively charged. I don't want to bring it too near any electronics, but notice as I bring it to here, it neutralized it. Since this was positively charged, that means that negatively charged. Now the question is the orb still charged? Well, let's find out. Listen, there's a small little spark right there, not a big one. And then we discharge this by just touching it to some conductor. And there's a surprisingly few number of conductors in here that aren't computers, things like that. One advantage of doing this in this time of year is that it's humid enough that it discharges pretty quickly. Okay. I'm always hesitant. Let's see if we can get another demonstration going here. So we now have a piece of string that's tied to it, so that you can see the string here. There's the string, and I'm hoping that you can see it despite the background. Actually, I think I can get a better background than that. All right, so I have a piece of string that now can be seen better. I'm going to turn it on, but before I turn it on, as usual, I want you to sort of predict what's going to happen and why. And welcome back. And so how quickly that the string collapses, notice that the ends are spread apart as well. How quickly it collapses gives you some idea of the humidity in the room. So what's happening is similar to the pie pan. The orb becomes positively charged. and therefore it starts pulling electrons from the string right here, making the string positively charged. The electrons from the string go to the orb and then would come down to here and get sent off, making the string positively charged and the orb positively charged, and therefore they repel. And I've done an experiment, I don't know whether we'll do that this semester or not, where you cut off the string until it is standing straight up, and then based upon that, estimate what the charge on the bulb is. I'm going to do that again. So this has been neutralized at this point. So I'm going to get the string up in the air, and then I'm going to bring this near it, and the question is about what's going to happen when I bring a neutral ball near the charged string. And so now, what's going to happen when I bring a neutral ball, because this has been neutralized since then. I can neutralize it right now if you need to. All I need to do is touch it. So what happens when I take this neutral bulb and put it near the string? Notice it's attracted to it. It's attracted to the ball here. And we should be able to see some sparks coming from the string itself. Also notice that the electroscope, hopefully that's in shot there, is spread far apart. All right, we're going to try that last experiment again, although it depends on, potentially, you didn't see the last one. All right, I have a longer string on it than I did before, so it should hang down a little bit better. So now I'm going to, it's really attracted over there. It's attracted to the string, attracted to the ball, and then gets pushed off, attracted, pushed off, attracted, pushed off. And again, get this attraction repulsion going on here. Hopefully you caught that, that there was a loud pop just then and the string dropped very quickly. The electroscope collapsed when I touched it. Small little spark there. The electroscope spread apart. All right. We'll make sense of this at another date. So the question is, why was it attracted? What was happening is that the wand was neutral, and so when it was exposed to the positively charged ball right here, that this was becoming polarized. That if this were closer to the bulb up here, then the electrons would be being pulled over to this side, making this side negatively charged. Even though the whole thing was still neutral, this side was negatively charged. The string that was on top was positively charged and therefore was attracted to it. Very similar to rubbing a balloon on your head and touching it to a wall and having it stick. Once the string touched it, some electrons got pulled off of it, making this positively charged. The string's positively charged because those electrons get sucked in through the Van de Graaff generator, and so then there's the repulsion. This is become somewhat neutralized again, attracting and then polarized. The string gets pulled back towards it, and then that cycle just repeats over and over again. It's a slightly different demonstration in wintertime, but you know, that's life in the South. I'm going to run the Van de Graaff generator now. I'm going to turn out the lights because it's dark outside. We should get a good show. I did notice that we did get some great sparks coming off of the large wand here, but there were other ones that were shooting off down here. I'm not quite sure what they were being attracted to, but there's something over here that seemed to draw its attention. So let me just make sure we are recording here, unlike the last two times I did this. going to get this thing. And we have sparks shooting off the side. I hope you noticed it down here. See if we can get some nice discharge here. It is humid outside, and so it's not going to be as nice as if it were incredibly dry. But that seems to be about it. So what we have here is a fluorescent bulb, little cautionary tale. When I was doing this early on, I was showing how you could light this up with a Van de Graaff generator, and I was holding it like this, and I went and touched it, and notice I have the two prongs there touching my hand. So when I turned it on to touch it, sent the shock right down through into my hand. So I have learned, hold it from the side. I need the glove for this, the packing peanut. I'm going to take an insulated glove here. This is a dielectric. I'm going to expose it to an electric field. Because this is an insulator, no current should run through it. However, there's a certain point in which, with enough voltage, the spark will shoot through it, in which case we'd be demonstrating dielectric strength. Hopefully I'm not demonstrating that. I just want to show what happens when I put the packing peanut near the Van de Graaff generator. I'm not going to touch it, but we do have a neutral packing peanut. Let's see if I can get a fluffier one. Alright, so a slightly fluffier packing peanut here. And I'm going to put this near the Van de Graaff generator and just, of course, first predict what's going to happen. One more time, hopefully. It shoots to the Van de Graaff generator and then pops away. I guess we should probably discharge. And we'll let humidity take care of the rest. And then the question is going to be, why does it happen?
Oh, but you watch her so sad.